of driving national conversation. Join us again.
So let's broaden the conversation now. And as you can see, we're joined on the program by Hajiya Najaa to Muhammad, also simply known as an activist, but she's held several positions, formerly in the APC, the Presidential Campaign Council. But she joins us live from our Kano studio. Good morning, Hajiya. Welcome to the Morning Brief.
Hello, good morning.
Well, it's good to see you again, and we'll just get right into it. The issues concerning security in the country, particularly on the Plateau, majorly parts of northern Nigeria, is unpalatable. And I know that you've been a commissioner of the Police Service Commission. In fact, you've been a member of a committee responsible for fostering reconciliations between the Boko Haram sect and the Nigerian government. So you have a good understanding of the workings of security behind the scenes, on the ground, and even beyond. So let's speak to the Plateau situation for a start, and perhaps in other parts of northern Nigeria. Is this a challenge still with our security architecture, or there's something that this government is still missing in terms of insecurity?
First and foremost, you have to understand that the primary responsibility of any government on earth is to give security to life and property to the populace, to give the populace, their citizens, an enabling environment to live in peace and conduct their businesses peacefully. Any government that fails to give this primary responsibility has lost its authority to govern. Governing is about securing the country. It's about the welfare of the country. So let me tell you, we have to go back and look at the structure, the architectural structure of the Nigerian security system. The Nigerian security system, it must be understood that it's a colonial system. It's a colonial system, and nothing has changed. Nothing has changed because they are primarily created to serve and to protect the imperialists. These imperialists have been taken over or have shifted to our local so-called rulers. Having worked in the Police Service Commission, having been in the dialogue committee with Boko Haram, I got to learn a few things. One of the things that I have learned is that insecurity is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It is both internal and external. It's about the sale of arms and the sale of drugs. It's about the exploitation of the mineral resources in our country. For so long as this is not addressed, then we can never make headway. For that, you need a very, very patriotic and visionary leader. When I was with the Boko Haram Dialogue Committee, I sat with some of those that were in prison. And I would tell you that in the whole of Borno, there is no house in which there isn't a victim of the Boko Haram. I interviewed a 13-year-old at Giwa Barracks, and he told me that they were just picked up on the streets by this so-called Boko Haram, and they were trained to kill. They have an indoctrination in which anyone that has a big car, it doesn't matter what your religion is, he should just be killed. So what I'm trying to say is this: in a situation where your security apparatus have no synergy within themselves, that they are only mostly interested in what they get, and they are not even that, they are appointed on the basis of politics. on how close they are to the corridors of power, or whoever is selecting them, normally the president, is doing so not because of competence, but because of his personal interest and his personal protection, not to protect the Nigerian citizens. So for that reason, you cannot expect anything. So if we go back to the Plateau, it's not unique to Plateau. It's all over. It's all over the north. And it's about the exploitation of the mineral resources of northern Nigeria. Anywhere you see this kind of carnage, then make sure there's mining going on there. This is only a smoke screen to divert the attention of Nigerians from the main problem. Let me tell you, in Plateau, this has been happening for decades. They use the tactics of divide and rule. And unfortunately, for the victims and the perpetrators, they don't seem to understand that they have a common enemy. You cannot continue to blame. Where is your intelligence? I mean, what happened in Plateau is sickening. Before the so-called tit for tat, like the president said, the Fulani settlement was ravaged. Their outlaw was slaughtered. His head was put on a stick. So they went. I mean, what sort of a country is this that you cannot even preempt? That you don't even have the intelligence of what uses our DSS? They are busy eavesdropping on our phones. They cannot eavesdrop. They cannot tell us. They cannot tell the government before time that there's going to be this or that. So it's the total failure of both the military elite and the politicians. The politicians are the biggest benefactors of this, from the east to the west to the north and wherever you are in Nigeria. You see, just recently, Zulum of Borno complained that some of the territories of Borno are being taken by the Boko Haram. But what happened? They busy lying, insulting him. What I'm trying to say is that the people in power, unfortunately, in this country, are such pathological liars. They all think that we don't see and we don't feel. That it's all about them.
If you can hear me, Hajiya.
What the NSA just said, having gone to Plateau, he said 90% of terrorism has been wiped out.
Hajiya, can you hear me?
True. He knows it's not true. But what I'm trying to say, no. What I'm trying to say is this: unless and until a government can take its responsibility seriously, it's not about.
I have to come in here, Hajiya, if you can hear me, so that we can expand the conversation. If you can hear me, so you mentioned two things I would like you to perhaps expatiate on. One of the things you said is that both the perpetrators and the victims don't know they have a common enemy. And I would like you to extensively identify who you'd refer to as this common enemy. And in addition to that, what has to be done?
The common enemy is the government that has refused to give them the protection that is a right. That is the common enemy. The common enemy is not the Fulani man or the Birom that are both killed, that are both victims. Nobody chooses to be where they are. And the Nigerian Constitution has given everyone the right to live peacefully everywhere. But our common enemy are really the politicians, because the politicians determine how the military work. They determine who is the IG,
Hajiya, just a moment.
What he is supposed to do.
Just a moment. Just a moment.
Look,
if you can hear me, just a moment. So, the people, for instance, in Plateau, are very clear on who they feel is their problem. They say the Fulani herders, and they say this is about land grabbing. Just hold on, Hajiya. Just hold on, Hajiya. Just hold on. I would like your intervention in this. So just hang on. Let me just land, please. So they say this is about land grabbing. It's about ethnic cleansing. We've spoken with even government officials that have alluded to this. So in your view, when people say these things, how best can it be tackled? Because the governor, the president, for instance, is saying this has been an age-long issue. You have to look for a way within yourself to solve this problem. The words were fairly and, you know, giving it a long-term solution.
It's not my responsibility. No, sir. No. The responsibility, the primary responsibility of any government, like I said earlier on, is to protect its citizens. Why are they, in fact, if assuming it's all the Fulani fault, how did they allow the Fulanis to continue to kill the indigenous people of Plateau? Why? How? Why have they failed to give the people of Plateau, like everyone else, the protection that they have a right to? It's not only in Plateau, it's happening all over the north. How many thousand people have been killed by bandits? In Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto, Kebbi, Niger. You understand? It is happening as we speak. As we speak, people are, just recently, Truji, one of the biggest bandits who claimed, he openly claimed that he's working with people in power. He said it. He mentioned their names. But what happened? They are occupying high places. Just recently in this Eid, he slaughtered 15 people like rams. Like ram, he laid them down and he was making a video of it. 15 people he slaughtered. You see, the point I'm trying to make is that it does not make any difference to the victim. It doesn't matter who kills you, whether it's the bandit, whether it's IPOP, whether it's the Fulani, the victim has been killed. So it doesn't really matter who kills you. What I'm trying to say is that the government has failed in its most primary responsibility to Nigerians. If you truly love the people of Plateau, why have you failed? Why have you failed to protect them? So when I talked of divide and rule, politicians have also used these bandits as political thugs. Do you know that? Yes, they are political thugs. When they fail to give them education, when they fail to even pay their salaries for over a year. I remember what happened during the governorship of Jank. For over a year, he was not paying salaries, but they were instigating his own people to look the other side and say, your problem is not me, your problem are the settlers. So what I'm trying to say is this. Both the victims and the victimizers have a common enemy. Their common enemy are people in government.
All right, Hajiya.
They will never be allowed to see that because their attention has been diverted to religion and tribe. That is not the issue.
Hajiya.
The issue is that you have no right to peace and to live in peace anywhere in the country. You don't have that right.
Hajiya. If I may come in there, you said earlier, just after you made the point that
brainwashed.
This is happening everywhere, regardless of, not just Plateau alone. You said a bandit, admitted to working with the government and killed 15 people, slaughtered 15 people. Which state are you saying that this happened in? Just to clarify.
From them. The media is part of the problem because they decide which victim to protect and which victim to victimize. We have to make these things very clear. This is the situation of things in the country. The government cannot continue to lie to us. The reality is that we are all at risk. This is the reality of our country today.
I doubt that you heard me earlier, but I'm just going to go straight to my question, Hajiya. This is happening also in other states of the Federation besides Plateau State. Can you hear me now, Hajiya Najatu? All right, I hope that you can hear me in the course of this question. You said that this is happening not just in Plateau State, but in other parts of the north. But this is happening in other parts of the country as well, where there are concerns about farmer-herder clashes which leads to killings, more often than not, killings of those whose farms have been attacked. I'd like you to speak to that. in those states of the Federation as well, is the government the common enemy? And while you're reflecting on that, there was a video released recently of someone who used to be a member of the government, a senator of the Federal Republic representing, that used to represent Kaduna, who was addressing Fulani youths, and he admonished them to, address their own Fulani brothers who seem to be at the heart of this conversation, who are accused of killings and kidnappings, that they are educated Fulani youths, and he's urging them to prevail on their Fulani brothers to desist from this. I'd like you to speak to that part of the conversation, Hajiya, if you can hear me.
Look, yeah, I can hear you right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
You see, what I'm trying to say is this. Nuhu Rubadu, when he was in the Plateau, he said one thing that I think is good and which should be looked into. He said we have to look at the root cause of these problems. Well, what are the root causes? You have to understand, like I said earlier, that security is a multi-billion-dollar industry. How do the perpetrators get their guns? Where do they get their ammunition? Where do they get their training? This question was asked to the CDS. I can remember quite clearly. Who are the sponsors? But even the CDS refused to answer because it was too much for him to answer. Well, I'll give you the answer. Like I said earlier on, you have to look at things holistically. I said there's the imperial factor, the stealing and the plunder of our natural resources. There's also the local factor. The local factor which you want us to address is this, that why are our youth engaging in this? This is a new thing that is happening to us because Nigeria's demographic, over 75% of the population, especially up north that I know, are made up of youth from age 75 down. Oh, sorry, age 35 down. Now these are the uranium, they are the engine, they are the energy of the country. When you have 75% of your youth, age between 35 down, that are unemployed, uneducated, ill-informed, jobless, they become cannon fodder. And why did they get into this situation? So unless this issue is addressed, these things will continue because they will now start looking onto each other. Oh, this is my enemy. The closer your neighbor becomes your enemy. I want to have what your neighbor my neighbor has. But they are all pulverized. They are all in the same boat, but they don't seem to understand. And the indoctrination by our clerics, both Muslims and Christians, they are also agents of this chaos. So the government or the people in government love to divert attention from giving good governance by making the population kill each other while they usurp and steal our resources. I would want to give you an example of Zamfara, for instance. Right. Zamfara, Katsina. We have a Ministry of Mineral Resources. What are bandits doing there? Who are they working for? The bandits are just the pawns for politicians and illegal miners. They are the smoke screen. I remember, now we have a Ministry of Mineral Resources, for instance. How much has the Ministry of Mineral Resources remitted to government? How much is our gold? Zamfara has more gold than Ghana. I have seen Zamfara government traded in Wall Street. How? Why? What is Nigeria getting? Youth in Kebbi, Sokoto, Zamfara are living in such abject poverty, and there are so many. They are not educated. They have no hope for tomorrow, and they have to eat. Tell me what they do. They become agents of these imperialists, and their local partners, their local clients, so to say. Zamfara gold is being traded. Right, billions, maybe, of dollars.
If I could come in here quickly, Hajiya, to get more clarity on this. You seem to be saying clearly that there is a connivance from government at different levels, complicity as the case may be. For this Tinubu administration, I do tell you, well, it's 2 years in, right? This is something he inherited from the previous government, the Muhammadu Buhari administration, whom you're close to, I must say. So for all the killings, the kidnappings that we saw during that time, even on the Plateau, hundreds were killed. Would you say that previous government was also complicit? Was there a connivance from that previous government as well?
It's sickening when people in power continue to blame their predecessors. For instance, I started Buhari's campaign in 2002. I've never denied it, and I will continue to say it. But the point is this: Buhari failed, and we never minced our words. Throughout his 8 years, I had never minced my words. But what hurts me is this: they continue to blame. Buhari blamed Jonathan for the 8 years that he was there. And now Tinubu is doing the same thing. But what I'm trying to say is that when they were campaigning to take over power, didn't they look at the problems? Was it just about their ego to be presidents? Didn't they have a blueprint for governance? Is it just that you come in, they are telling us they are clueless, they are telling us they are unpatriotic, they are telling us that they don't give a hoot about Nigerians. Why do you blame? Why did you get there in the first place? Why did you get there? If you know that you don't have a blueprint, if you know that you don't have the capacity or the ability to solve Nigerians' problems, why did you get there? Why do you sought to be there?
All right, Hajiya, just a moment, Hajiya.
Blaming others for what you cannot do.
Can you hear me, Hajiya?
This is what Buhari did. And I had never accepted what Buhari did. So I supported Buhari.
Hajiya, if you can hear me, can you hear me, Hajiya? Yes.
I accepted, or that I kept quiet during the mutilation of our country that he did. Buhari actually, look, the corruption in Buhari's government was mind-blowing, and that corruption, that malignant corruption, is still here.
Hajiya, just a moment. If you can hear me, I think we're maybe having a network. I don't know. Can you hear me, Hajiya?
Yes, I can.
We just have about a minute. If you can answer this in 1 minute. So now, people are saying the people who are victims who have to take their destiny in their own hands. We cannot just blame government. There is a holistic blame to go around if you look properly. Sometimes there is a political undertone in all of this. Now, in your view, as somebody who lives and understands the North, what is left to the victims? Because what we are looking for now is to stop the killing, and then other conversations can start.
Look, let me tell you, anyone who does not blame the government for its responsibility, then it's not serious. You know, everyone should be given the right to defend themselves. But what is happening today is that I can't own a gun to defend myself. The DSS and the police will be all over me. But I don't know how they allow the bandits. Helicopters were seen dropping guns, ammunition, and food, and all sorts of technologies to bandits. The government did not do anything. So the government is in tandem with this insecurity. Like I said, even the military budget is colossal. But what is happening into it? And there is no synergy between the security apparatus. There is no synergy between the police and the army. In fact, the military has taken over the work of the police. There is no synergy between the DSS and the army, or the Air Force and the army, or the Navy. I mean, it's crazy. So who do we blame?
That's a fine
Do
place.
I go and be a military brass? No, you
Hajiya,
can't.
I think that's a
You
great
are
place
not even allowed to carry arms.
let it be for now.
Maybe people should
there's
be
still a
allowed
lot
to
more
carry
things
arms.
that we
But
need to take
for
up
so
with you,
long
Hajiya. If you can hear me, we're totally out of time, but I believe this has been a fruitful conversation so far. We have to thank you so much, and we need to have another type of this conversation in the future, because we've not talked about, governance, politics, the dividends that are meant to be for the people aside security, but we have to anchor now, and hoping that you will join us sometime soon to continue this conversation on a broader topic. But we've been speaking with Hajiya Najaa Muhammad. Clearly, she speaks her mind, and you can't stop her. She's an activist, a former member of the APC, former member of the Presidential Campaign Council, former Commissioner of Police Service Commission, and so much more positions that she's held. Thank you for your time, Hajiya.
Thank you so much.
Well, we'll take a quick break now while we try to digest all of that. But there's more for you on the show, so please stay with us. We'll be right back.